7:00, call the meeting to order, please. Brian would lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Andrew.
Chapman.
Here.
Drake. Here. Fox.
Present.
Hines. Kent.
Here.
Ring. Tyler.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Before we approve the agenda, I'm adding one item. If you turn the page over, action item E. Action item E, resume enforcing code violations. Resume the non-operable. Resume enforcing code violations, specifically the non-operable vehicles. And that's all I have to add. Anybody else?
I would like to add a discussion on the village office hours.
Okay. So just new business?
Yeah,
Okay, new business. Say it again, Kit, please.
a discussion on village office hours.
All right, village office hours. All right, anything else? I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda on June 8th for 2022. Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes May 11th.
Two changes.
All right.
Public comment. I think Monica's last name is Ingersoll.
Are you still in?
Ingersoll.
Thank you.
And then I believe, is it Jennifer Graham or Jennifer Hodges?
Oh, it'd be Graham now.
Okay. And I don't
Thank
have
you.
a second one.
All right, with that change, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of 22.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right. Public comment. All right, Jerry.
Yeah, Jairus Rubin, County Commissioner. I think I mentioned last month about the United States Army Corps of Engineers doing a hydrology study. And the study was done, and I'm reading this from the Antrim County website, was done developing a computer model of the Elk River Chain of Lakes watershed in partnership with Antrim County. This model will be useful to study behavior patterns of the water flow and to predict lake water levels under different storm scenarios, including flood events. There will be a meeting hosted in the Antrim County building on June 22 at 4 p.m. All elected officials, stakeholders, residents, and interested members of the general public are invited to attend. And then I asked them, we did this study. I said, so what are we looking for when you do a study? What's the goal of the study? And the dam operator, Mark Stone, said, when we hired the engineers, we were allowed to ask 3 questions. So the 3 questions that he asked are these. Number 1, what controls the lake levels of St. Clair and 6 Mile Lakes? Number 2, what would happen to lake levels if we dredged the intermediate river from Intermediate Lake to the Belair Dam? And number 3, levels if we dredged the Torch River at the confluence with the Rapid River? So we're hopeful that we'll get some sort of an answer to those 3 questions coming up in a couple weeks. And if It's right on the front page, antrimcounty.org. And there's more. I just kind of read you the short version. If you want more information, there's a couple paragraphs on the website there. It's going to be broadcast via Zoom, so any person can sign up and watch it from their living room. So there's a lot of people that are pretty excited about it, and
Is that gonna be interactive?
there's going to be a time for questions, but I think if there's very many questions, they're going to get pushed to a different day because I think it's going to be a couple hour long meeting. So they're going to be scheduling a couple more meetings coming up. This is kind of the first broad brush stroke of what they found and what they studied. So that's all I got, unless anybody has any questions for me.
All right, thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
Public comment?
I have something, Rob. if I
Go on.
can.
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize to the community for my vote to give Sam a raise to convince him to stay long enough to train John. I voted for that. I was adamant about it, and I apologize. And I apologize to any trustee that my adamant support of that swayed their vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ralph. Let's see, police report, Scott.
Great, thank you. Hopefully you have a good report. Typical month, starting to get busier obviously as people start coming north and our population is increasing. So, couple highlights, a lot of patrol spent or time spent around schools, which is typical, but especially in light of, events that happen elsewhere, I think it's pretty important that we do that. So typically I'll spend time at the school or outside the school before and after school, which kind of gives the presence and always available in the meantime, other times. So the other thing, we had some training, some med tech training, which was actually really cool. We got invited to go. It's basically taught on the federal level. They came to Bel Air and taught us about like mass shootings and stuff like that, as far as how to tourniquets, and we had to spend, I think I put 30 tourniquets on myself. I mean, so it's kind of a instruction thing. So it was actually pretty top-notch instruction, and the federal guys came and did that, and it was all free. So it was a day's worth of training, which was really, really, training that we probably never ever see a small town department level. So, and hopefully we never have to use, but it's just kind of like everybody else I talked to really, really enjoyed it. So. Any other questions?
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
John, DPW report.
I just gave you some highlights of the month. Don't really have anything further to add on anything unless you have some questions.
How did the M88 go this week? I noticed that the road was closed.
Dave got a little more involved than when we got in there. Ended up beating some rotten 2-inch into the main.
Uh-huh.
So it took a little more repair. Had to get some parts, which obviously took a lot longer than a van.
All right. I want to thank all three of you, yourself, Steve, and Jeff. It was 13 hours
Plus today.
plus today. A lot of time digging at this to make sure that the road is only to one lane for one day, and water service to those houses. How many hours are they without water?
Just a couple
Just a couple.
on that one service. Yeah, it took a little longer because we had conduit and other. That's why the hole got a little bigger than typical. We had to redo the connection, so, but came up with a way to do it, and we did it.
All right.
It just took time.
It's better time.
Yeah, take your time.
After the state goes through.
And there was some question on Facebook. There was no need for a water boil advisory. So that was the other question people had. And again, thank you.
Yeah, the main never lost water.
Campground report, Ron and Shar.
Go ahead, Sheriff. No, we
made it through the holiday weekend with no problems, no issues, and everything's easy peasy.
All right, thank you. I want to thank the both of you. I thanked Ron already. I was down there Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. Bathrooms were pristine, and that was at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Ron was down, actually got in someone's truck and helped them back the trailer into their spot. I guess you can buy a trailer and not know how to go in reverse with it. We sat there and we thought he was gonna either hit the dumpster or the maple tree, and Ron couldn't take it anymore, so he just valiantly pulled him out. So again, thank you both. You're doing a wonderful job. Let's see, correspondence. Let's see. I think you folks have this in front of, or the village council does. From Mr. David Deary, enclosed a partial copy of the federal ruling, goes in great detail as to the difference between a fee for service and a tax. You'll find the complete ruling in DeKalb County versus the US 108. Between this ruling and the ruling I previously made you aware of, both versus the city of Lansing, is very pleased that fees for sewer charging are in fact an illegal tax. Of course, the village has still the option of placing a sewer millage on the ballot as required by the Michigan Constitution. It is my opinion, underline that, then the entire village must share the burden of the benefit of the whole, for the whole village. As to the funds that the village has collected under the illegal tax, I suggest you consult your legal counsel. So I did some research. I looked up Bolt versus the city of Lansing. It's in 1998. The Supreme Court ruled that stormwater service charge by the Lansing was unconstitutional and void on the basis of the tax for which the voter approval was required. This is not stormwater. This is wastewater.
I don't have a copy of that.
Oh, I'm glad I read it.
I read it too.
Oh, there you go. So what it boils down to,
So
it's stormwater, the Bolt versus City of Lansing, 1998 versus sewer water. Let's see, from Christy Burkle. I'd like to know when violation of ordinance will start to be enforced. After I reviewed these, I've noticed that many of which I wasn't aware of. As I drive around, I see many ordinance must not ever be enforced, as I see broken down vehicles in yards, trash in yards, and make other homeowners' property near those that don't clean up their yards, keep up their yards look bad. Please advise, how are these enforced, or when are they? Is this seasonal enforcement? That's on an agenda item. To whom it may concern, we live at 2493 Western Road, and for years we've had the problem of people speeding down our road, and it seems the second they turn on our road from the corner store, they floor it. Some that are every day and multiple times a day offenders. We are requesting that a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign be posted either before or after Thomas Street to help with the problem. Please consider your request. Thank you for your time, Rich and Misty Robchoy. I guess that would fall under John Shooks and Scott, right? Figure out a sign. I don't know.
There is a sign there.
Is it northbound? Is there a sign?
Yes.
Okay, there. Problem solved.
I sit in, what's the people's name of across the street now? Sage's yard. I sit in their yard often.
Is it still 25 there?
It goes from the corner store, it goes 25, and it goes to 35.
Okay.
Right past Brian's house, it becomes 45.
All right.
But I can go through there and make sure they're all visible, and so I'm sure they are, but.
Scott, did we look into those signs like Bel Air has telling you what the speed limit's
I
going?
gave it to Brian.
Oh, sorry. All right.
That's right. He had asked me to give him a copy. I apologize, I didn't mention that in my report, but he's got them as far as pricing and stuff like that. So
Thank you.
they are a little pricey, a little cumbersome as far as moving them around. They're not as easy as I thought they would be. I thought you could put 10 poles around town and move that.
Oh, the unit.
Yeah. Some of them had solar panels on it, so some of them, they're a little cumbersome to do that too, but. And then actually, I did a little research this week. They're pretty cool. You can actually data in the whole 9 yards as far as when people are speeding. You can pull it up as far as, and then law enforcement can actually look at it and say, oh, wow, it's 6 o'clock on Thursday, where we can adjust, patrol and stuff like that too, so. Because other than like complaints like Robert just read, you really don't know where to spend the time, or, like, you would think that would be a certain day, a certain time, but you don't know, so.
Do you want me to bring this up right now, Rob?
Yeah,
Or give it to Bill?
I don't care.
I asked Scott the other day, because we talked about this last month. If you come into Ellsworth coming in from East Jordan Way, they've got a really cool sign, and it blinks there by the ball diamonds, and then when it says that you're going too fast, at the bottom it says thank you. So it really catches people's attention. The three prices that Scott got are two like portable type ones, not on a trailer, and they are pretty expensive. $895. The second one, $270. And the one that's on a trailer, like the county sheriff's department has that you see around the county, that one is $8,100.
So the one on the pole like Ellsworth has is $3,800.
About 38, yeah, $3,900.
So we'll call it 4,000.
$4,000.
One of the big problems that the sheriff's department had, they explained to me, is once you put one somewhere, then everybody else wants it too. So how do you divide it? If you put it on Russian Road, then everybody on North Immediate Lake Road, it's like, well, what about us? So it's kind of hard to divide it up and share it and to, kind of move it around.
I
It's
think,
not impossible, but it's a little harder.
I think we should explore, signs like that on both sides of M88 coming into town and on both sides of State Street coming into town. I think if it saves us from a lawsuit from somebody getting run over, it'll be investment. And so I think that's something we need to either look at if there are any grants available or something that we can budget for. But I think that's an investment that would benefit the entire community and the safety of the entire community.
I think, and I'm not saying that because I live on this road, but one of the worst roads there is Ruston Road.
I agree.
People coming from north to south. So we're looking at 5 or 6 of these things possibly.
So I'm clear, the 4,000 is the pole mounted permanent.
Is that the solar powered one?
Yeah, the top, well, they're all solar powered, yes.
Okay.
This is the guy.
Yep.
So
I got a question for you, Scott. Has any research been done to see if there is any effect, a positive effect of having these signs?
Not that I'm aware of. You mean on a local level, or?
Anywhere?
I'm sure there's.
I'm sure that whoever's selling it would get
Well,
that.
I mean, it seems like a good idea to me, but is there any proof?
Oh, I hate to admit it, proof to me, because I slow my butt down.
I do too.
Bel Air slows me down.
Bells are the first thing you do is.
You want,
Whatever it is.
or the one in Ellsworth, Scott going, slow down, I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Do you think there's a grant out there for that?
Comment from Judy.
I would,
Judy.
Oh, sorry. Judy, what do you got?
We had those on State Street because State Street is an absolute disaster and it made no difference at all. None.
When did we have them on State Street?
When we first moved here,
The flashing
The trailer?
lights?
Yeah, the trailers.
it made no difference at all. Nobody slowed down. They just zoomed right past it. I even wanted to take a stroller and throw it down the driveway. My husband wouldn't let me. So,
I've had comments from young drivers and I'd overheard them and it really was bothersome because they were commenting back and forth to how fast they can get that home.
The one benefit is if you have multiple places and you can move them around, because if they expect to see it, then they don't see it. It's kind of like, I think the same thing I do with my car. If I put it in different spots and people are like, okay, is he sitting there today? Is he not? Then, that's kind of the benefit too. So
but they collect data also, correct?
absolutely, yeah.
So,
Data is what we want to look for.
Mhm.
All right, well, we'll explore that one. Thank you. Street sidewalks and lights, Mike.
Not much to say, except we did put out 12 of the planter pots.
They look great, I saw them, thank
Thank
you.
you. But we have 6 of them that we have no idea where to put them. Gotta have some sunshine for one thing. And they got out of the way of the construction. So if somebody has some bright ideas, we can put out a couple more. Otherwise, we're going to plant them because we already purchased the plants back in February. So we have to do something with them. They gotta be planted. They can't just sit in the containers. So we're gonna put them in the pots, and we're gonna park them in our backyard. And nobody will be able to see them. They'll be there.
Can you put them at the new pavilion?
The pots at the
And
end.
which,
The new.
got 2 of them there.
Or.
Put all of them there.
At the park,
The campground, boardwalk down up in the
so
water.
do you water them
Guaranteed.
daily if I put them there?
I already water all the ones I already used.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can get together and see if there's a few places we can put them.
Right.
Beyond that, nothing else other than the construction that'll be done on 88.
Do you know, Mike, when they're gonna start? I see they've been around here a lot.
Well, they were marking underground utilities today, and the work is supposed to be done on the curbing and all that sort of thing this month. And then July 4th weekend and all that. And then after the July 4th weekend, sometime between then and Labor Day, they're going to pave the road. But that depends on what they're doing down south of Bel Air and all that sort of thing. And that's up to the contractor how to coordinate that. But it's supposed to be done before Labor Day.
Okay.
And also, we checked the curb at 88 North Street, is it? Yeah, it doesn't line up with the street. And initially I heard that, oh yeah, we can move that over. Then it's like, oh, I don't know if we can do that, you know? And I'm waiting for the word on whether they can do that. It would make sense, but it might not get changed, even though it's not right. But we'll see.
They have a start date right now, the 10th.
Oh, start on the 10th? Oh, okay, good.
That's Friday.
The Payne and Dolan engineer and Tricom was up there today.
I saw them walking around. Okay.
Okay.
All right. B, sewer.
Anything that hasn't been talked about or will be talked about.
Enforcement, Bill.
Scott pretty well covered everything. We'll talk about one item when we get to
All right.
this location here.
Communications, Kip.
None at this time.
All right. Finance and personnel, Brian.
I've got a couple things. I told Ron I wouldn't talk long night, but, getting back to the previous, DPW supervisor, I want to agree with Ralph. I was very disappointed in basically the 1-day notice that we got for him to be done. He told me on Friday that he was given his 2-week notice and he's never showed back up again. So I always felt that a 2-week notice was you worked for 2 weeks, you gave your notice, you worked for those. So technically he should be working until Friday of this week. But he hasn't. Another thing that I was asked to bring up is in last week's interim paper. Earlier last month, during a special joint meeting on May 11th, the Central Lake Township and the Village of Central Lake began discussions regarding the possibility of consolidating. Tyler and Mullins gave their opinions on the and said they would mull over the options involved. It was decided to meet again on the matter on a later date. Nobody knew anything about this. Did that happen that day or?
Well, what had happened, well, first off, that's entirely wrong. It was May 11th at 11 a.m. I was in the office. The township convened a meeting. I was walking by. Sam was there. We sat down as audience. It was not a joint meeting. There was never a meeting with the village. They had their meeting, they discussed what their options were. I don't even remember what they were talking about, but our summation was, at this time, we were not interested in combining services to 4 people because Sam was retiring and John was taking over, and he was gonna be supervising 2 people, not 3 people.
So that was the opinion of Sam.
That was the opinion of Rob Tyler.
Okay, so we need to make
So-
sure the paper prints a retraction.
There was no,
Because a joint meeting, it makes us all look bad.
nope, I was,
It makes us all look as incompetent
So-
as anyone else. So,
and then that was our opinion, and I left, and they just discussed from there. I walked out. So, I was there 10 minutes, so, and that's the way it happened.
So then we need a retraction, you know, the paper, I mean,
You should watch the video tomorrow.
yeah.
One other thing, now that John has, basically Sam was supposed to work with John for 2 years, year and a half, basically. John got thrown into the fire basically the next day after Sam said that he was leaving, I think first of the year. Since he is basically doing the job that Sam was supposed to help him. We can bring that up next month.
Let's bring it up next month, it'll give the personnel committee.
Yep.
Because as personnel committee, I mean, I would have been interested in looking at combining if another entity could, for example, when Torch Lake Township was interested in law enforcement combination, we explored that for quite a while and determined that it probably wasn't workable. But I would really have liked the opportunity to explore it as a full council with the proper communications with the other municipalities involved. A real joint meeting would have been a very, I think, useful thing at this point.
So Andrew, can you put that on the agenda for next month?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Michelle, Parks and Public Property.
The committee met and sketched out the Lake Street access site park. We are, now have a more detailed drawing for you later, and we're in the process of getting information for funding so we can apply for different grants. It will be ADA accessible, and it will have a platform that goes out 8 feet of water for fishing and for kayaks to load and unload. It will have an accessible concrete walkway and a 40 by 40 paved lot near the road. And so we measured it on some diseased trees will need to be trimmed and removed, and focusing on keeping it as, wild as possible, but still tame enough for all people to access it. So we worked on that, and I'll have more information next meeting, because I think we are going to be applying for some grants to fund that. Let's see, the SNA's already reported about the campground, and the rent and the pavilion liaison has making sure the pavilion's ready for the rental, and then making sure it's secured when the rental is finished. And that seems to, we're clicking that into place here. Internet was installed at the Village Pavilion, as well as the remote control door locks, programmable door locks on the pavilion bathrooms. We still have a key to the utility room, and so that'll still be necessary to manually handle when there's a rental. But we have free Wi-Fi available at the pavilion, and one of the things that the committee is going to need to discuss is do we want to make it available to everyone? How do we handle the password? Different issues like that. So that was just installed, I believe, on Monday, correct? Is that Monday? I believe so.
Yesterday.
Tuesday, yeah. So
Whatever they have.
that we will be discussing in our next meeting. So, any questions?
All right.
Thank
If
you.
anybody has ever been down to that
It's a,
access site, like Ralph and I was talking, we grew up here, we never knew that the village owned it. That's a nice little spot right there.
it is very nice.
That's where the water lake was.
All right, thank you. President's report. All of you in your packet got your audit. I want to make sure everyone got an audit. Look it over. We did great. I want to thank Andrew again. Our audit went from 4 days to 3 days. We actually saved money. And we only used the BSNA software for half a year. So next year we use it for a whole year. It'll be even more streamlined. So that's,
We never hear that, Andrew. Well done.
yeah.
Thank you.
Will
We'll talk about it at July's meeting. There'll be an agenda. I don't want to throw this at you, and
got it.
so take a look at it. So that's your homework assignment for that. Let's see here. The new building. Drywall is starting tomorrow. I want to thank Andrew. We had an emergency call from the drywaller tonight. We had to move all the block, all the mortar, all the siding out of the building before the meeting tonight, so that they could get started on the drywalling. So Andrew stepped up to the plate and helped me get all that stuff out of the building so the drywallers could get going on that.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thanks.
That's where we're at on the new building.
Oh, can I break in?
Sure.
And I did get the grant submitted for a sign for in front of the building. That would be a digital sign that would announce important things like water main breaks and, different village health and safety issues. And that would be in front of the new building if we get the grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Saturday, June 18, we have the M88 garage sale. So that's going on. July 4th weekend, we've got a lot going on. Sunday, July 3rd, we've got the AMVETS breakfast going on. That afternoon, the AMVETS are holding a beer tent at the Thurston Park Pavilion. Additionally, in front of the Thurston Park Pavilion, there will be a cornhole tournament. They're shutting down Lake Street, right there in front of the pavilion. Let's see, practice starts at 2 p.m., bags fly at 3 p.m., $30 per team. Bag raffle, Quattro Clip.
I don't know.
Quattro Clip money and everyone's favorite airmail challenge. So there
Is
you
that
go.
like special cornhole language?
I don't know. And then that evening is the boat parade as well on July 3rd. Monday, July 4th, at 9 a.m. We have the Victory for Veterans race starting at 9. And let's see, we have sponsors. I want to thank Ralph. He was one of the first sponsors to put up money for the timing equipment and all that. Again, Ralph, that was a very generous donation. Appreciate that. And then the usual July 4th, Lions Club chicken dinner and the fireworks.
Parade.
Oh, golly, and the parade. So that's all we have for upcoming events for July 4th. Let's see.
The entertainment and the farmer's market starts.
Oh, yeah, can you talk about that?
I
What
don't
is
know
it?
anything. It starts, I think, June 21st.
All right.
On Tuesday evenings, farmer's market with entertainment in the evenings downtown.
All right, so it starts June 21. Entertainment, and she did say a taco truck possibly every week. I don't know, that could be a rumor, I don't know. But I could have sworn she said a taco truck. So, that's all I have. Any questions for me? All right, thank you. Approval of bills totaling $100,100 $141,945.80.
I have a question.
All right.
When we're looking at the US Bank bill for May of '22, we're paying for a pair of boots for somebody that's no longer employed with us.
Yep. Well, Andrew, you want to handle that one?
What they get the new boots every year. I don't know I don't know if these were Steve's boots or Sam's boots.
Well,
which number?
these are a separate
Oh, okay.
line item on a different.
Oh, so then they probably are Steve's.
It's under Mullins, under US Bank,
Yeah, it was on his card. I don't know whose they were. They were
but
probably,
Steve's is separate.
you might have been, Jeff.
What page are you talking? Give me a page number.
Yeah.
7.
7.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Page
Yeah, so it probably was
7.
Sam's.
Boots. $222.59. You see it, Andrew, on page 7?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about it.
We'll look into it for sure. I got it highlighted.
Thanks. And I can highlight Steve's boots, which are a separate thing, thanks.
Yeah, so I'll just make sure they're not Jeff's and.
All right, thank you. Going back, approval of the bills for like $141,945.08. Can I get a motion?
I'll support.
Roll call, we're spending money.
Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes,
Hines,
Yes.
Tennant,
Yes.
Green.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Old business, no business, new business, village office hours. Kip, take it away.
Okay, a few weeks ago, I called the office and got mail. It said the new office hours were from. And I was not notified they were gonna change. And, they were 7 to 4 from Monday through Thursday, right, Andrew? Is that correct? Okay. In the year that I've been on the board, I have heard, some complaints about not being, anybody being here at the office. And we've changed to lower the hours of the office. And in my opinion, that gives the public the perception that we're paying our village clerk for just 4 days a week at 3 hours and giving him his full wage.
Mm-hmm. Sure, so I'll handle that one. So Andrew comes in at 7, we all know that, 7 to 4, right? It's 7 to 8 in the morning, is doing emails, answering any phone messages, that sort of thing. If you need to see Andrew directly and you don't want to set up an appointment, you can come in between 8 and 11. Then from 11 to 12, traditionally, check me if I'm wrong here, because I'm in the office unfortunately, as much as he is. Bank, post office, and lunch. And then in the afternoon, he could be here, he could be down at the campground. So let's, for example, 2 weeks ago, we had a delivery to the DPW garage. There was nobody at the DPW garage at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He's got to get up and go over to the DPW garage. I'm not going to call in our DPW supervisor for 1 hour of overtime when I've got a guy in the office that can run down there, sign for it, and come back. Additionally, the 8 to 11, he tries his best, but with this new building and other obligations, he has to leave sometimes. For example, when the well house, the doors were vandalized and broken into, he had to go up there, take pictures for the insurance company and things of that nature. There's many things that occur within a week. And he can't just sit at his desk and wait, because we have contractors at the new building that aren't gonna sit there. Well, I gotta sit and spin around in my chair from 8 to 11. He has to get over there. So with that being said, they can call and set up an appointment, and he can come back to the office and call him right back. If they have to drop off a water bill, we have an envelope slot. So it is somewhat confusing and convoluted. We did streamline the answering machine, did we not, last week? We streamlined it, and it kind of really goes into, if you need to see him, 8 to 11, but make an appointment, because he's here most of the time. He's got to be at different places at different times. I mean, he was in Bel Air for training last week, or was it I don't know, 2 weeks ago? You weren't in the office. So there's oftentimes he gets called out on different duties because he does wear many hats. So listen to the voicemail and the updated one, and then think about, and then kind of write down some suggestions, and we can modify it further.
I just want the public to have
Exactly.
the perception that, okay, he's still here, he's still available,
Sure.
okay? But so based on what you're saying is from 8 AM to 11, he's gonna try his best to be here in the office, and you can just walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to come in later or may not be here, but you can call arrangements with them to meet at that time. That
And that sounds,
is that.
I mean, like today I was here till 4:30, but I don't charge the village for that. I mean, like, it's slightly offensive that people think that I only work 12 hours. I mean,
Andrew, what I would say is that I think that we're really lucky that you're willing to get up from the desk and go and handle another problem somewhere else. Issues all the time, like helping carry stuff out of the offices. So I think we need someone doing like you're doing instead of just tied to the desk. So I want to thank you.
He helps us a lot too.
And I hear what everybody's saying here, and I agree that, you know, Andrew is a gift. You know, we've just got so many things that he can do that he's very good at. But I do know that when I've covered the phones on occasion, that there are quite a few elderly people that come toddling in, and they're just, they are not on social media, and I think it's good for them to know that we've got office hours from 8 to 11 or whatever it is, and that when Andrew's away from the office, that there's a big notice posted that lets them know that if they need to see somebody in real life, that he's available.
babysitting Spectrum at the new pavilion.
Correct.
That took
Yes.
those clowns 2 hours, 3 hours, and you had to be there.
Right.
You can't leave them for having a Betsy's. I mean,
No.
so that was kind of the main reason too, like you said, why we switched to 8 to 11 was because without that, then there was, you never knew when my appointments were gonna be. So now, like Spectrum, they set their own. You can't really tell them, no, I can't be here. So, but other than that, ones that I can set up, contractors I set up in the afternoon, so that way then 8 to 11 I am here. And I kind of look at it like a professor, you know, when they have office hours, that's not all a professor works. I mean, they're teaching, they're, you know, handling students, they're grading, they're, you know, they're running all over the place, but they have these dedicated times where students can come in.
Right.
Same here, we have a dedicated time when the community can come.
The
If you
entire
leave
scope
during
of
that,
your
oops,
job.
sorry. I'm sorry.
The entire scope of your
Right,
job. You know, that's
exactly.
just one part.
Yeah, one part of the job.
So if you do have to leave 8 to 11, you leave a note when you're coming back on the door.
Yeah, or call back on a message, you know, or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Okay.
anything else, Kip?
No.
All right. Action items. A, approve event permit number 1 of 2022. Central Lake Tavern is hosting a meet and greet for Jeeps. Jeep meet and greet.
So the Jeeps themselves or the people in them?
I would imagine the people that were driving said Jeeps. They're gonna close the alley on the west side and up to M88. It's the same little strip of Maple Street that they used for the cornhole tournament. Anybody have any comment on that, concerns?
These are now, like, he's got, obviously, we have to put up street signs, but we're not signing a contract like he pays for a permit. Are we signing a contract that says we'll make sure that the street gets swept the day before?
Well, they're asking, I mean, we'll try to,
I mean, I get you try it, but I
Yeah.
wanna make sure this isn't a contract that we're agreeing to when we give them the permit.
it's never been a contract before, Andrew.
No, it's just, mostly you're approving that they can shut down the street.
So it's just a permit to
A
have an
permit
event.
to, yeah. to close the
Do we
street.
charge for that?
We don't know.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve event number
I'll
1.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Jeep meet and greet to go. Event permit number 2, Central Lake Tavern.
I'd make a motion for that also.
Shut down the street for the anniversary party on the alley of Maple Street on September 3rd, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m.
To 2 a.m.
So,
Isn't 2 a.m. a little late?
we can, what time do we can have them bring it back and they can modify it? Want to have them modify it?
That's usually it closes at 8, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Hey.
fairly early.
Well, the other permit's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I think 10 p.m.
I
is.
think 10
is
p.m.
reasonable
Yeah, I
for
think that's
a
gotta be,
residential area.
I'll bring it back to Chris. He has time to amend it.
Yeah, okay,
So let's
with the change.
Let's table 13B, table it. And we'll go back to the recommendation of 10 PM like the other one?
Yep.
All right, so our recommendation is 10 PM. All right, so we're gonna table that one. All right. Put this here. Oh, this is yours. Action item 13C, update FOIA fee itemization form. If you see the FOIA itemization form, at the very top, it reflects the hourly rate that Andrew makes with his 5% raise this year, up to $21.87 in 1/100th.
It's like gas prices.
Round up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what this is about.
I'll make a motion to approve the FOIA fee itemization form.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Turning the page over. Approve Gordy Fraser to complete preliminary engineering report for the water system. Jennifer, you're up.
Thanks. If I can, before I dive into this, a couple things that I took note of. Can I talk about for 2 seconds?
Sure.
One thing, Michelle, you talked about with the dock and the fishing. To make you aware, so Rotary Charities has their assets for thriving communities. Elk Rapids just got one from Rotary Park, it's a grant up to $50,000.
Rotary Charity.
It's a pretty easy, intuitive grant to fill out. It's up to $50,000 for an amount, and they fund specific projects just like this, and the next round is September 1st.
Got it. That's
So you
perfect.
basically, and that's how we funded a subcomponent of it, that's how we funded the M88 Trail Project report.
Thank you very much.
But I was just thinking of you, and
Appreciate that.
On another note, the consumer confidence report is complete. So I will be passing that on to you as soon as Amy Vale with Eagle approves it. So that you can get it published. So we'll meet the deadline of July. And nice to meet you, John. I'm Jennifer. We'll talk after this. And then the sewer project itself, we've resolved all the issues related to easements, so that's exciting.
Goodness.
I know, but I'm still waiting on the Eagle groundwater discharge permit. So I am bugging them weekly, because I would really love to get this project off the table, out for bids, see where we land, and start breaking ground at some point. So I'm just kind of hammering them weekly at this point, the groundwater discharge permit. But moving on to water, and I'm sorry, Ralph, you missed it last meeting. I probably bored everyone to death with a wonderful PowerPoint on, and just a summation on your water system. But as a reminder, and I assume you guys still didn't throw it away. Yeah.
No, I got it.
Oh, good, okay.
Did my homework.
But basically, I just did a highlight of the water study that we did from 2021. And the big piece of that water study, we have to do it every 5 years per Eagle, is we evaluate your infrastructure and then we make sure that your infrastructure has the capabilities to meet your 5 and 20-year demands. And in that report, we probably identified a handful of, especially main replacement, and in light of M88, that's another one. So we identified some main replacement that's needed to upsize. There's a couple areas that are undersized and aged. And then also to tackle the lead service line. You guys have about 40 of those as well that need to be addressed. So basically, I just kind of provided.
Did you say there are 40 lead service lines?
Well, suspected, or we don't know definitively.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, there's
And-
40
right,
possibilities. Okay.
And probably, half of those probably are, at least have goosenecks. But you're required under the Lead Service Act, within the next 5 years, by 2025, you have to go and actually do an investigation, dig them up. Well, if you're gonna go through that level of effort and you find them, that's the time that would behoove you to go in and replace them too. So that was identified in that water study also. So basically, Rob and I had been talking about it, and with the interest rates the way they are, and they're still quite decent, and the grant offset that you got for the sewer, we felt it was an opportune time to present to you guys again the ability potentially to want to apply to USDA to address these water replacement issues as well. And so it's very similar terms as the sewer in the aspect that it's for a low-income community. It's a 40-year loan. We get a support from Eagle that you've hit all that criteria, and currently right now the interest rates, they've gone up a little bit, so they're higher than what the sewer was, but they're still at 1.875 for 40 years. Which is remarkable, and so, but they are going up, and that's why we want to continue to educate and bring to you guys' attention. We have mains and some infrastructure that needs to be addressed and improved, and that problem's not gonna go away. And it's about roughly $1.2 million in capital improvement projects. So, now, if any time is the best time, because we constantly watch the market and interest rates, you guys hear it too. With, mortgage refis and everything, and the feds, they're raising interest rates. So I just got to keep doing my job and making you guys aware that this is still a great opportunity. And so talking with Rob, the next step to go down that route to apply to USDA is basically completing what's called a preliminary engineering report. And fortunately, I've done a lot of, and been your engineer for quite a long time, so I have a lot of that background information. When we went through this process with sewer, the cost was about $30,000 to go through this effort, just because you don't have to do a water study for sewer systems. They don't require you to evaluate the system every 5 years, where on the water side they do. So I have a lot of that info available, so I was able to lower the cost of our services. And so that's basically what you see in this contract for tonight, is if this is something the council really wants to proceed and take serious and apply for a USDA loan to address water capital improvement projects, the first step is doing an engineering report. And then after that fact, then we would go in and get into USDA RD apply and submit that application and work with Andrew on the necessary financials. So that's what you guys have in front of you tonight, is for us to do that work and to start the first step.
So Andrew is working with the
Michigan Water Navigator.
Michigan Water Navigator, right?
Yep, and you sent me that link before. Yep.
You've got that link. And before we can even proceed with that grant, check me if I'm wrong here, we have to have a water study done. We just can't say, knock on their door and say,
Yeah,
we'd like $1.2 million
so and we, and. a
over
piece-
40 years
right.
at 3% interest.
And a piece that we talked about last meeting is, right now, there's two plausible funding sources. One is through USDA, and the other one is the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And that's that package that Biden released back in November. That money's all getting dumped into what we call Drinking Water Revolving Fund, and that's, a lot of that's through the Michigan Navigator that Andrew saw through, is it MML? So regardless of what funding purpose we go through, we still have to do this PER. So, but I'm still, for you guys, USDA is still your best option for comparison. Just to break it down really simple, so USDA offers a 40-year loan at 1.875%. They immediately review your application, look at your income, look at your rates, and that's where you know right up front how much grant they're gonna give you. And you guys witness this through sewer. If we go through Drinking Water Revolving Fund that has where all the infrastructure money's been dumped into, the most you could get as a disadvantaged community is a 30-year loan. Similar interest rates though, and you won't know how much grant you get until about halfway down the project, and they call what they call loan forgiveness. And the other piece to that, which I'll get off myself, the other piece with the Drinking Water Revolving Fund and the infrastructure money is you have to comply with Davis-Bacon. USDA, you do not have to comply with Davis-Bacon. And we experienced this with the pavilion. Davis-Bacon can raise prices of materials and labor. So I'm not saying I'm not an advocate, and I'm not saying we won't also apply that route, but definitely for you guys, USDA works best for your community size and your interest rate. And ultimately, when everything shakes out, we apply to them and we apply to Drinking Water Revolving Fund, I would be extremely surprised if you get a better deal through Drinking Water Revolving Fund.
USDA Drinking Water Revolving Fund is the better, you think it's gonna be the better deal?
It will be, yes,
Okay.
but once we get to this step, we can.
Versus I'm trying to write this down,
I know, I live it.
The revol-
I'm sorry.
the Michigan Revolving Fund that Andrew's looking to do. Okay, thank you.
But the intent is we are gonna wanna apply to both. And this report can be used for both of those.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion to.
Okay, can I add one thing? I did some math. So Andrew and I sat down with the accountant, and last year alone for water, 83% of our water budget just went to repair. And it's only getting worse. We've got 4 active water lines that are broken right now. It's
Just gotta do something.
this isn't something I'm taking frivolously, but this number, 83%, shouldn't be that high. We're not saving anything for the future.
Well, and looking at the water study too, what we also look at is we look at what your meter readings are coming from your wells versus the meter readings of the houses, and you have a high loss, which is revenue that you guys are basically putting in the ground. You have a higher loss than you should have. Industry standard, you should be around 10 to 15%, and realistically, looking at the numbers, you guys are at least 30%. So that's revenue right
So in
there.
layman's terms, almost 30% of our water
Is leaking out.
is leaking out of our system.
Right.
All right.
Revenue.
There, that's
Yeah.
revenue, exactly.
Well, those leaks cause water line breaks, and we have to do the road and everything. Ralph has a motion on the table to approve, say it again, Ralph, please.
To approve Gordy Frazier to do a preliminary engineering report for the water.
Second.
We're spending money, Andrew. Roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Ring.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yep.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
And that does include grant assistance, so,
Okay.
Great.
sorry I talked fast. Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. E, resume enforcing code violation specific non-operable vehicle ordinance. We went on hiatus for enforcing the non-operable vehicles because the Secretary of State was either not open or limited hours, or it was very difficult to get your vehicle properly plated. So Scott and I I jumped in his truck, we kind of drove around a little bit, we saw some about 25 vehicles that met the non-operable vehicle ordinance. Before you, this is the new form we're gonna pass out to people. Bill's looked at it, Scott looked at it, and Michelle was in the office, so Scott, Michelle, myself, and Andrew we tried to make it as non-threatening as possible. We have the watermark on the top, it just says warning.
Warning, 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 warning.
Warning, warning, warning. There's a written warning, and what's going on there. Hopefully these people see that it's not a ticket. Nowhere on there in big bold big bold print does it say ticket anywhere. So I talked to Brian Graham and he said, since there's been a hiatus, make sure that you do a council vote on this. So make sure that when Scott starts it back up again, he's not the fall guy on this, that we have approved him to resume enforcement. Bill, you got anything else?
Yeah, we had, our country seems to be going on a slant that I don't appreciate, and I'm sure our law enforcement throughout the country doesn't appreciate. And it seems to be blame the cops, so we can't completely break them, can't defund. I don't think we've recklessly spent money on law enforcement. We ask for an orderly community and we put the rules out. So if we're gonna ask for enforcement, then we should back our enforcement personnel when they do that. I just think it's, we back our employees 100% in this village, and I think it's a good example for everybody else. Sometimes we'll get punched in the nose, yeah. We won't always be right, but we did the right thing.
Or for the right reasons.
We did the right thing for the right reasons, and it just didn't work out this time. But when it comes to our law enforcement, I believe we need to let them know that we have their back.
Absolutely.
That's not saying that they won't be wrong someday, somebody, but we have to assume that they are right and that they're doing what they're sworn to do and what we pay them to do. So let's back them, eh?
All right. Anybody else have any other questions? All right, I'd like to make a motion to have Police Chief Scott Barrett resume enforcing code violations specifically to unregistered, inoperable / non-operational vehicles.
Discussion's still open because you just made the motion, correct?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I thought.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking, Scott, are you gonna mail these or are you gonna hand deliver them? What is your modus operandi?
So Rob and I did a field trip the other day, and I kind of explained to him, I've been here for 14 years, we've done a little bit of everything. The problem we had a couple of years ago was when everybody kind of went off their rockers as far as being enforced. We got accused of sending people letters when they wanted a personal visit, and we got accused of pulling in people's driveway and startling their neighbors. So if there's really no right or wrong answer, and unfortunately, in the years past, we've come up with 50, 60 people on the list throughout a year, something like this in Tallgrass. It's kind of hard to say, okay, Rob, you want a personal visit, Rob, you want a letter, and the letter's the simplest, easiest way. And if you look at it from a perspective as far as how we're gonna spend my time and the village's money wisely, I think that makes the best sense. Now, when people get letters, they get all up in arms about it, so I think we've changed a little bit about that as far as the wording on it. We got accused a couple of years ago of writing people tickets, and I've been here for 14 years, and we've wrote 3 tickets in 14 years. So, the people that were complaining that they got tickets, they weren't tickets, they were the actual notice violation letters. So it's kind of, but to answer your question, yes. I mean, it's the cheapest, easiest, quickest way to get it taken care of. The thing that happens is when the letter goes out, it also gets tagged with complaint number so that, you know, when the person says, oh, I didn't know I was in violation, well, you know, for the last 4 years, you get a letter, so it tracks everything. It's
Well,
it's easier way
that's
to
my,
do it.
my thing with the letter. I agree with you. It's the cheapest and it saves confrontation. It does a lot of stuff. It also gives you the opportunity to say, well, I never got a warning.
Sure. You know, and when people get the letter, there's always the chance they call, I can talk to them, I don't mind going to their house, but I can't do it for 50, 60, you know. And the problem we have now is that, you know, you got rid of my part-time person, and that's kind of primarily what their job was. So now I have to kind of figure out how to do this in the midst of everything else I do. When I started here 14 years ago, we had a full-time chief with 40 hours. We had 2 part-time people at 20 hours a week, so we had 80 hours worth of work a week. We were down to 40, so my department's been cut in half. And yet, you know, things
We
like
defunded
this.
before it was popular.
What's that?
We defunded before it was popular.
I think you're on the damn after the fact, but it's definitely been underfunded and defunded. But you know, Rob and I went around and we found what we thought were obviously everyone that we could think of. And so we weren't picking on people. We weren't, you know.
There was obvious. I mean,
So
wasn't brain surgery.
So I think there's only technically 25 cars, but only 18 letters that are probably going to go out, something like that. And it can be done, but unfortunately, you know, if the bank gets robbed, I can't be working on abandoned vehicles. I have to be working on criminal
Come on,
complaints. So it's kind of one of those things that was always nice in the past to give to the part-time person because they could focus on it. They make it a high priority, but we'll do the best we can with it. The letter, yeah, like I said, I think now that we kind of tuned up the letter, it'll kind of set the tone and, you know, just take care of it.
With the letter, how do you, I see it says 10 days from is it the date that you mailed it?
Yeah.
And then you make a note of when you mailed it and then go back in 10 days?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and Rob kind of made a hand sketch list. It'll become more of an official list. You go through and check them off. Obviously, as I drive it around in that 10 days, I could say, okay, some of them have been taken care of. It's pretty simple to take care of. You know, I would guess historically, if 18 get sent out, there's going to be 3 that are just going to be problem people, just as far as not getting it resolved. So it'll get dwindled down really quick.
Okay.
And additionally, we want compliance. We
Oh,
don't want
Right.
fines. And Scott is very malleable to, if someone's over the 15 days, but they got it moved, he's not gonna rush over there and, you know, stroke them a ticket.
Right.
I mean, let's be very clear on that. He's not gonna sit there on the 15th day and wait.
Working to.
Yeah,
remedy the
where we want the
situation.
situation remedied. He's not gonna be hammering down on people, so it's not,
Okay.
yeah, they're gonna,
I would estimate.
we had to put a date on the letter. Let's just put it down.
Okay, all right.
In the last 14 years, probably 1,000 of those letters have been sent out. And 3 tickets have been written. I mean, that's obviously the whole concept here, to get compliance. And, you know, we're really pretty good about it. We'll have people call, and it's just a matter of, hey, I'm waiting for J&J's to come pick up a vehicle, or I'm waiting for somebody to help. You know, those are things that we can add to the notes and put in there and say, okay, fine, you know, a couple days is needed, more than that. So it's really easy. The problem is we get people that don't call or refuse to do it, and obviously that's what.
Okay.
Because then it takes support, it takes Brian Graham's time, it takes more money, and it's not really worth it in the big scheme of things, but
So you're saying 19 letters about is what we're gonna be sending out
Rob had the list, but that's just my guess.
about?
Right around.
Okay. Is it worth sending them registered or so the person has to sign for them?
No,
No, okay.
because of the cost. I mean, again, we could add a ton of cost, and for the most part, you're gonna get about 80-90% compliance just with the first letter. Then you'll get the couple people that just lose their marbles and take it out of context and don't really realize that what's going on, so.
Most people are aware of it. They just haven't got around to it. The importance isn't there yet. When they get a letter, that, for most people, that makes it more important. Okay,
Sure.
move it up a notch. Let's do it this weekend instead of
And I would
some
imagine
other
it's,
day.
some people have moved to the village in the last couple of years that weren't aware of it, so it's just more of a reminder, so.
All right, my motion's still on the table. I need a second, please.
Second.
Roll call, please, Andrew.
Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Penn,
Yes.
Rainey.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yep.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Public comment? No public comment?
I'll, just quick.
Oh, cheers.
The newspaper about a joint meeting.
Uh-huh.
On one hand, I can understand it. I mean, she's probably listening to the Zoom. I think she listens to the county commissioner meetings via Zoom too. And there's a lot more in communication when I'm looking at you and you're talking to me than listening over the thing. But on the other hand, I go to a lot of meetings, and I think if you have a joint meeting, a public meeting, you need a public notice. So that's,
Wasn't my meeting.
I know, but that's problematic to have it in the newspaper that way.
Correct.
So I agree
It
with
was
Mrs.
an-
Fox that it should probably be corrected because I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't on your website of a public notice.
Again, not our meeting.
Right.
So don't say our website. Do
Which is
not use
why we
ours,
have- we
the
have-
village, or anything.
Right, that's why we have
Nothing to do with
clear.
that. I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yep.
Thank you. I wanted, can I get a motion to adjourn?
No.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you all for attending.